What if I told you the market doesn't decide your success? You do. Not your strategy, not your indicators, but your state of mind in the exact moment you click buy or sell. Most traders chase signals, but never stop to ask, what state was I in when I made that decision? Because when you lose control of your emotions, the trade is already lost, even before it begins. This isn't about discipline. It's not about motivation. It's about learning to trade from a place of total clarity, a state where fear disappears and flow begins. Let me take you back to 1995. A young trader named Nick Leeson sits alone on a Singapore trading floor. He's 28, sharp suit, quiet confidence. Behind him, a 233-year-old institution, Barings Bank, the pride of British finance, the same bank that once financed the Louisiana Purchase. And in front of him, a screen, a few numbers, a few blinking ticks, and a secret. What happened next didn't just shake the markets, it destroyed a legacy. Because in a few short weeks, Leeson would single-handedly bring down Britain's oldest merchant, not because of a global crisis, right? Not because of a black swan event, but because of something far more dangerous, a mind that lost control. You see, trading disasters don't start with charts. They start with a thought, a whisper, something like, I can fix this. Just one more trade. I can get it back. When a junior trader on his team made a small error, just 20,000 pounds, Leeson made a decision that changed everything. Instead of reporting it, he buried it, opened a secret account labeled 88888. At first, it was just to cover a mistake. But when the trades didn't work, he doubled down, then tripled, then leveraged to the point of no return. Every loss pulled him deeper, not into debt, into denial, into delusion. He wasn't trading anymore. He was fighting ghosts. When the Kobe earthquake hit and the market plunged, it wasn't a natural disaster that crushed Barings. It was a psychological one. The quake just exposed the truth. The collapse had already happened inside Nick's mind. From his prison cell, Leeson wrote something haunting. I wasn't trading anymore. I was in a psychological war with the market. And the market doesn't fight wars. It just is. Let that sink in. The market doesn't fight. It doesn't care. It doesn't argue. Only we do. Every blown account, every blown up trader. The common thread isn't bad luck or poor strategy, it's mental disintegration. Brian Hunter at Amaranth Advisors lost $6 billion in 2006. Jerome Kerviel at Societe Generale lost $7 billion in 2008. Same story, different name, different market, same internal storm. These weren't stupid people. These weren't amateurs. They were professionals. But they made one fatal mistake. They let their emotions trade for them. Here's the truth no one wants to say out loud. Markets don't destroy traders. Traders destroy themselves when they lose command of their own psychology. Fear makes you hesitate. Ego makes you double down. Shame makes you hide the loss. Dopamine makes you chase another hit. And all of it feels so rational in the moment. That's how it begins. A flicker of fear, then a shortcut, then a bigger risk, then silence, then collapse. And the worst part, you won't even see it coming. Because you're not watching your mind. You're watching the market. You're tracking price, not your state. You're adjusting position size, not your identity. But trading is a mirror, and what it reflects is you, your fears, your insecurities, your need to be right, your desperation to feel in control. Every candlestick, every tick is a test of your emotional calibration. When you're in flow, it all makes sense. The noise quiets. The patterns emerge. You respond, not react. But when you're out of state, the same market becomes a battlefield. You second guess, you force trades, you make deals with the market like it's listening. But it's not. Because again, the market doesn't care. It doesn't hate you. It doesn't reward you. It doesn't owe you anything. It just is. That's the brutal and liberating truth. You are your only edge, and you are your biggest threat. So if disaster always starts in the mind, then mastery must start there too. It starts by asking better questions. What state was I in when I entered that losing trade? Was I reacting or responding? Did I trade my edge or my emotion? It starts with brutal honesty, the kind that hurts, the kind that humbles, the kind that cracks the armor of ego and reveals the truth. I didn't lose because of the market. I lost because I wasn't in control of myself. But here's the good news. If the problem is in your mind, so is the solution. You can train your state. You can rebuild your identity. You can rebuild your identity. You can create rituals that anchor you in clarity and dissolve chaos before it begins. That's what the best traders in the world do. They don't have perfect strategies, they have resilient minds. Paul Tudor Jones doesn't pay Tony Robbins for indicators, he pays to stay centered. Ray Dalio doesn't meditate to feel spiritual, he meditates so his ego doesn't hijack a $1 billion decision. These are not rituals of mystics, they are protocols of mastery. So the next time you're tempted to blame the market, remember Nick Leeson. Remember that 20,000-pound mistake. Remember that blinking screen in Singapore. And remember this: no one ever blew up because they followed their plan. They blew up because they abandoned themselves. And if you want to be the kind of trader who survives, who thrives, who evolves, then your journey doesn't start with a chart. It starts with the mind behind the mouse, because that's where every trade begins, and that's where every disaster is born. Let's flip the script. We've talked about collapse, about chaos, about the slow psychological erosion that turns good traders into gamblers and confidence into catastrophe. But what if the opposite were possible? What if there's a state where fear can't touch you, where noise fades, where decisions happen like instinct, fast, accurate, effortless, where the chart almost speaks to you, not in a magical way, but in a way that's clear, grounded, sharp? Like you're finally seeing the market, not as you wish it to be, but as it is. That state exists, and it has a name: flow. It's not hype. It's not mysticism. It's not some woo-woo zone that only elite athletes talk about in post-game interviews. It's real. It's measurable. And for traders, it's the closest thing you'll ever get to a superpower. Let's break it down. In the 1970s, a Hungarian psychologist named Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi began studying top performers: chess masters, Olympic athletes, surgeons, even rock climbers. And he found something stunning. Across disciplines, across cultures, when these people were at their very best, they all described the same experience. Time slowed down. Doubt disappeared. Their actions felt inevitable. Decisions flowed through them, not from them. He called this experience flow. And he didn't stop at describing it. He spent 4 decades unpacking the neuroscience behind it. Here's what he and the scientists who followed discovered: when you're in flow, something radical happens inside your brain. The prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for overthinking, self-criticism, fear of failure, goes quiet. It's called transient hypofrontality, a temporary shutdown of the inner critic. In its place, a neurochemical cascade of pure performance: norepinephrine for laser-sharp focus, dopamine for enhanced pattern recognition, anandamide for creativity and problem-solving, endorphins for resilience and calm under pressure. In short, flow turns your brain into a trading machine. But this isn't theory. Dr. John Coates, a former trader turned neuroscientist at Cambridge, studied real traders in real markets under real pressure. What he found was nothing short of astonishing. Cortisol, the stress hormone, dropped by up to 73%. Decision-making speed increased by 200 to 300%. Pattern recognition sharpened significantly. And most importantly, profitability increased by 200 to 400%. Read that again. Same market, same charts, but a different mind, and that makes all the difference. Paul Tudor Jones knew this. One of the most successful traders in history, with a fortune built from precision timing and market instinct, and yet, in the 1990s, already at the top of his game, he hired Tony Robbins, not for trading strategy, for state management, because he realized something most traders never do. The difference between good traders and great traders isn't their system, it's their state. The charts don't change. The price action doesn't care. But when you're in flow, you respond with grace. When you're out of it, you react with fear. And here's the best part: flow isn't random. It's not luck. It's not reserved for the elite. It's trainable, yes. Just like you can train a strategy or build a system, you can build rituals, habits, and awareness that trigger flow on command. That's what top traders do. Ray Dalio meditates twice a day without fail. Not because he's trying to be spiritual, but because it quietens the ego. It opens a channel to what he calls radical open-mindedness. He writes, "Until I experienced it, I didn't believe something so simple could be so powerful. But when I'm in that state, I can finally see the market for what it truly is, not what I want it to be." That clarity, that calm, that is the edge. Not indicators, not market timing, not some secret pattern. Your mental state, your inner calibration is the edge. But here's the trap: Most traders stumble into flow by accident, after a good night's sleep or a strong start to the day, and then they chase it desperately as it fades. The best traders, they build flow, they engineer it. They begin every session with a pre-market ritual, not just checking levels or news, but checking themselves. They breathe, they visualize, they align, and when the bell rings, they're not chasing the market. They're already in it, fully, sharply, calmly. So let me ask you, when was the last time you felt in flow? When was the last time a trade felt effortless? No doubt, no fear, just clarity, precision, movement. That's not magic. That's not a lucky day. That's the version of you without noise, without emotional static, without the weight of expectation or the burden of needing to be right. And that version of you, that's the trader who wins. Here's the truth. You don't need to control the market. You need to control your state. The market doesn't owe you anything, but your state determines how you dance with it. And when you trade from flow, you don't hesitate. You don't revenge trade. You don't force setups. You don't obsess over the outcome. You execute, you observe, you respond, and profits become a byproduct, not a pursuit. So the next time your strategy fails, before you rewrite your system, before you toss another indicator on your screen, ask yourself the question that truly matters. What state was I in when I placed that trade? Because if you can answer that honestly, you'll stop trying to fix the market and start mastering the only edge that really matters, yourself. Every trader has a routine. Check the charts, review the news, scan for setups, but few have a ritual, and that's the difference. Because a routine is mechanical. A ritual is transformational. A routine gets your computer ready. A ritual gets you ready. Because let's be honest, most traders sit down at their desk already tilted. They wake up late, scroll Twitter, feel pressure to make money, and dive into the open with a head full of noise. By the time the market moves, their mind is already moving faster, spiraling with doubt, hope, and the echo of yesterday's mistakes. No wonder they can't find flow. They never gave it room to arrive. Let me tell you something the pros know. The market opens at 9:30, but your trading day starts long before that. Because how you enter the day determines everything, not your strategy, not your watch list, but your state of consciousness when the bell rings. And that's why the best traders don't just react, they prepare psychologically. They understand that peak performance is not spontaneous, it's cultivated. Michael Jordan didn't walk onto the court cold. Tiger Woods didn't just show up and swing, and you shouldn't just turn on your screen and start risking capital. You need a pre-market ritual, one that doesn't just warm up your mind, but activates your edge. Here's the blueprint. 5 phases, 16 minutes, 0 excuses. Because this isn't about superstition, it's applied neuroscience. Let's break it down. Phase 1, mind clearing, 5 minutes. Before you touch the mouse, before you look at a chart, you breathe. Box breathing, 4 counts in, 4 counts hold, 4 counts out, 4 counts hold. Repeat 4 times. Then sit still. Let thoughts pass, like clouds in the wind. Don't chase them, don't chase them, don't judge them. Just watch. Why? Because the fastest way to clarity is stillness. You're not calming down. You're activating control, shutting down the inner noise before it hijacks your first trade. This isn't optional. This is hygiene for your mind. Phase 2, body activation, 3 minutes. Trading looks still, but inside, it's war. If your body's tight, your reactions will be too. Move. 20 push-ups, 20 jumping jacks, 30-second full body shake, neck rolls. Release the tension. Reset the nervous system. Why? Because your emotions live in your body, and if you don't shake them out, they'll shake your trading decisions. Phase 3, market synchronization. Now, open your chart, but don't analyze. Don't look for a trade, just observe. Ask yourself, is the market trending or ranging? Is volume light or heavy? What's the tone? Fast, slow, erratic? 3 observations. That's it. Why? Because this is your language check. Before you speak, you listen. Before you act, you tune in. This isn't trading yet. This is calibration. Phase 4, intention setting. Grab a notepad. Write down 3 declarations. Today I will execute my edge with discipline on A-plus setups only. Today I will honor my stop losses without hesitation. Today I will remain aware of my emotional state before every trade. Now read them out loud. Feel the commitment behind each word. Why? Because this isn't a wish list. This is a contract. And when the chaos hits, when temptation rises, this paper becomes your anchor. Phase 5, anchor activation minute. Find a physical object, a coin, a stone, a ring. Hold it in your hand, close your eyes, recall your best trade ever, not the P&L, but the state you were in. Calm, clear, sharp, squeeze the object, say, I am ready. That's not a mantra, that's neurological priming. It links the feeling of flow with a physical cue, something you can return to any time the day starts to slip away. 16 minutes. That's it. But the impact, it's like putting on armor before battle. Because when you walk into the market without this, you're walking in naked, hoping discipline will show up later. But discipline isn't something you summon in the moment. It's something you prepare before the moment comes. Let me ask you something. If Paul Tudor Jones spends 45 minutes on his morning routine, if Ray Dalio meditates twice daily without fail, what's your excuse? What's more important than preparing the only thing that truly trades? Your mind. Because your indicators don't press the button, your journal doesn't control your risk. You do. Or at least the version of you who shows up when you're centered. So here's the invitation. Don't trade until you've trained. Don't risk capital until your mind is sharp, still, and steady. Don't chase flow. Build it. Because flow is not a gift. It's a consequence of preparation, awareness, and deliberate design. And if you commit to this ritual day after day, you'll find something remarkable happens. The noise fades, your decisions simplify, your win rate improves, not because the market changed, but because you did. You didn't force trades. You didn't seek revenge. You didn't need the market to cooperate. You just showed up aligned. And when you do that consistently, you don't just become a better trader, you become a different person. One who trades from clarity, not craving, from rhythm, not reaction, from flow. Let me ask you something you've probably never been asked as a trader. Where are you mentally when you trade? Not physically, not geographically, but psychologically. Because the truth is, most traders don't trade the market. They trade from a state. And that state, more than any chart pattern indicator, any news event, is what determines whether they win or lose. Dr. Brett Steenbarger, a performance coach to some of the top hedge funds on the planet, mapped it out. He calls it the Trader Performance Matrix. And once you understand it, you'll never look at a trade the same way again. Here's how it works. Imagine a simple graph. On the vertical axis, challenge level, how difficult the current market conditions are. On the horizontal axis, skill level, how prepared, trained, and centered you are to handle those conditions. Where those two lines meet, that's your state. And that state defines everything. There are 4 zones. 3 destroy traders. Only 1 leads to consistent success. Let's break them down. Zone 1, the anxiety zone, high challenge, low skill. This is where accounts go to die. It's when you're outmatched by the market, by the volatility, by your own emotions. It's where traders freeze or panic or start pressing buttons they know they shouldn't touch. Your brain goes into fight or flight. Cortisol floods your system. Your rational mind disappears. And what's left is survival instinct, not strategy. This is where Nick Leeson lived as his losses mounted. Desperation doesn't feel desperate at first. It feels urgent, like, I need to fix this, like just one more trade. But it's not trading anymore. It's war. And you're losing. Zone 2, the boredom zone, low challenge, high skill. This one's tricky because here you're not losing, but you're drifting. You're good. You've got experience. You've built some consistency. But the market, it's slow, flat, uninspiring. So what happens? You start manufacturing excitement. You overtrade, you size up, you take marginal setups, not because they're part of your edge, but because you're hungry for feeling something. Even Jesse Livermore, one of the greatest traders in history, confessed to this. After a string of wins, I'd get bored, and boredom was always more expensive than any losing streak. Boredom is dangerous because you're not fighting the market. You're fighting emptiness, and most traders don't win that fight. Zone 3, the apathy zone, low challenge, low skill. This is the dead zone, the no man's land of retail trading. You're not learning, you're not improving, you're not even emotionally engaged. You're just existing. Opening charts, placing trades, placing true motions, but nothing clicks, nothing changes. It's like trading with the lights off. No growth, no pain, but also no edge. This is where most new traders end up after 6 months. Burned out, disillusioned, not blown up, but checked out. And eventually they quit, not because they couldn't win, but because they stopped caring enough to find out how. Zone 4, the flow zone, high challenge, high skill. This is where elite traders live. It's where the market demands your full attention, and you're ready to meet it. Not with fear, not with boredom, but with precision. The challenge is high, but so is your capability. You're stretched, but not snapped. You're focused, but not frantic. You're aware, calm, and completely engaged. Time slows down. You're not thinking about entries. You're just seeing them. You're not forcing setups. You're responding to what's real. And here's the kicker. Dr. Steenbarger's data shows that 75% of consistently profitable trades happen in or near this zone. This is not coincidence. This is not luck. It's causation. So here's the hard question. Where are you trading from? Think back to your last 20 trades. For each one, ask yourself, what was the challenge level? Was the market trending, volatile, choppy? What was my skill level that day? Was I rested, centered, or distracted and tilted? Plot those points. Look for patterns, because here's what the data shows. 80% of losing trades happen in the anxiety zone. 75% of profitable trades happen in the flow zone. So maybe it's not your system that needs work. Maybe it's not your risk-reward ratio. Maybe, just maybe, it's the zone you're operating from. But here's the beautiful truth. Once you can identify your zone, you can change it. You're not stuck, because state is not fixed. It's fluid. And that means mastery isn't some mysterious gift. It's a skill. It's the ability to recognize, right now, I'm in anxiety. Right now, I'm slipping into boredom. Right now, I'm too flat, too reactive, and then do something about it. Breathe, reset, step back, recalibrate, return to flow. Mark Douglas, the author of Trading in the Zone, didn't figure this out from a textbook. He figured it out the hard way. He blew out his account. He lost everything. And in the ruins of his capital, he found the truth. The market wasn't my problem. My mental state was. So here's the challenge for you today. Locate yourself. Draw the graph. Plot the dots. Find your dominant zone. Because once you name it, you can navigate it. And that's what separates the amateurs from the professionals. Amateurs get lost in the storm. Professionals check the compass and find their way back to flow. Let me ask you the question that ruins most traders before the opening bell even rings. What's your goal today? Be honest. What's the first thought that pops into your head? Make $1,000. Hit my daily target. Recover yesterday's loss. Sound familiar? It should, because it's how most traders approach the market, armed with hopes and handcuffed by outcome. But here's the problem. The moment your goal becomes something outside your control, your psychology is already compromised. You've just handed your mental state to the market. You've just made your peace conditional. And once again, you've turned trading into a game of emotional roulette. Let's get brutally honest. Make money is not a real goal. It's a craving, a desire, a fantasy wrapped in urgency. And yet that's how most traders wake up every day, praying the market delivers instead of preparing to show up with excellence no matter what it does. Here's the truth. Profit is not a goal. It's a byproduct of process, of precision, of presence. And when you shift your mindset away from outcomes and toward execution, everything changes. Let me introduce you to someone who made that shift. Mark Minervini, U.S. investing champion, one of the most disciplined, process-driven traders alive. At the beginning of his career, he struggled, not because he didn't have a system, but because his goals were built around results he couldn't control. He'd write, make $5,000 this week. Don't lose more than $2,000 today. And what happened? Pressure, anxiety, forcing trades, revenge entries, emotional exits. Sound familiar? Until one day he flipped the formula. He replaced outcome goals with process goals. Here's how he reframed. Instead of win this trade, follow my plan regardless of outcome. Instead of make X dollars today, execute only A-plus setups with full discipline. Instead of don't lose money, honor my stop with zero hesitation. And something strange happened. His stress dropped, his confidence rose, his profitability soared. Because when your goals are rooted in behavior, not results, you take back control of the one thing that actually determines your future in the market, your execution. Let's get scientific for a second. Dr. Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, the father of flow state research, discovered a key pattern. Flow requires clear goals that are 100% within your control. When your mind splits between doing and hoping, between acting and wishing, it becomes divided, scattered, impaired. That mental fragmentation is what kills focus, kills rhythm, kills performance. So, how do you fix it? You implement the framework used by Dr. Brett Steenbarger's top performing hedge fund clients. Four crystal clear process goals for every trade. Let's go through them. One, entry criteria specific, measurable, predefined. Bad example, enter when it looks strong. Elite example, enter long when price breaks the 20 period moving average with 50 plus as volume surge and RSI confirms. Why it matters. You're not deciding in real time, you're executing a condition you already defined with a clear mind. Elite 2, risk parameters. Exact stop loss placement, non negotiable. Bad, somewhere around support. Elite, stop 2 ATR below entry or previous swing low, whichever is closer. Why it matters, your downside is pre-managed, not emotionally negotiated. 3. Trade management rules for adjusting or scaling, clear, calculated, bad, manage as it goes. Elite, move stop to break even at 1R, take 50% at 2R, trail remainder with 20 period MA. Why it matters, you eliminate on-the-fly guesswork. You trade from structure, not stress. 4. Exit conditions, preset triggers to close the position, win, lose, or neutral. Bad, get out when it feels wrong. Elite, exit at stop, target, or end of session, whichever comes first. Why it matters, you don't hope anymore. You follow through. Here's the kicker. With these 4 process goals in place, you literally cannot fail at execution. You might lose money on the trade, but you win the trade as a disciplined athlete. And that's what builds longevity, because consistency doesn't come from edge alone. It comes from repeatable behaviors that you can control every single day. Mark Douglas said it best. When you stop trying to make money and focus purely on execution excellence, profit starts to flow naturally. It's the paradox most traders never embrace. They try to control the market, they obsess over the outcome, and they lose control over the only thing that matters, how they show up. So here's your challenge. Tonight, take your trading plan, grab a pen, and rewrite every outcome goal into a process goal. Make $2,000 this week. Take only trades that meet my full A-plus criteria. Don't lose more than $500. Cut every trade at my pre-planned stop without hesitation. Every line in your plan should be something you can execute flawlessly, even if the market goes sideways. And then watch what happens. Flow becomes accessible. Clarity increases. The noise fades. Because now your mind is aligned with your system, and your system is aligned with your discipline. In a world obsessed with profit, you become obsessed with process. And that obsession, that's what creates long-term winners. Let's talk about something no one warns you about. Not in the trading books, not in the Discord groups, not even in most courses, but it might be the single most dangerous variable in your entire trading life. Position size. Too often we treat it like a math problem. What's my R? What's my stop? What's the risk reward? But size isn't just numbers, it's psychological weight. And if you don't respect it, it will crush your clarity. It will hijack your judgment. It will silently pull you out of flow and drag you into fear, tilt, and destruction. Because your position size determines more than your potential gain or loss. It determines your state. Think about this. You've probably had days where your setup looked perfect, but as soon as you entered the trade, your heart rate spiked. Your breath shortened. You stared at every tick like it was life or death. And maybe you exited too early. Maybe you froze when you should have adjusted. Maybe you doubled down trying to win. Was it really the setup that failed, or was it your size that broke your state? Dr. Andrew Lowe at MIT studied thousands of traders across skill levels and market conditions. What he discovered was profound. The optimal trading performance doesn't happen at maximum size. It happens at what he called optimal arousal. In other words, your size should stretch you just enough to stay fully engaged, but not so much that it tips you into survival mode. Because once you cross that line, your brain switches systems. It shuts down the prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for logic, strategy, and calm execution, and activates the limbic system, fight, flight, or freeze. Sound familiar? It should. That's what happens when you go too big. Not in the market, in your nervous system. Legendary trader Tom Dante said it best: when I'm oversized by even 50%, my IQ drops 20 points. I become a different trader, a worse one. That's not just poetic, that's neuroscience. And it's why the size that feels right when you're calm can become a trapdoor once the trade moves against you. So, what's the solution? You need to scale your size to your psychology, not your potential profit. Let me give you the flow optimal sizing formula: simple, brutal, and proven. Step one, assess your true skill level. Be honest, not aspirational, not hopeful, real. Beginner, put a 2 years profitable, score 1 to 4. Developing, 2 to 5 years profitable, score 5 to 6. Competent, 5 plus years consistent, score 7 to 8. Advanced, 10 plus years verified track record, score 9 to 10. Where are you? Not how long you've traded, how long you've been consistently profitable. Don't inflate this. This score is your guardrail. Step 2, determine base risk per trade. Use this scale. Skill 1 to 4, risk 0.25% per trade. Skill 5 to 6, risk 0.5% per trade. Skill 7 to 8, risk 1% per trade. Skill 9 to 10, risk up to 2% per trade. This might sound conservative. Your ego might scream, that's too small, but ask yourself, do you want to feel powerful or actually trade from power? Step 3, adjust for market conditions. This is where most traders go wrong. They size based on their plan, but ignore volatility. Here's how to adjust. VIX above 25 or high volatility, reduce size by 50%. Major news pending, Fed, CPI, NFP, reduced by 30%. In drawdown, reduced by 25% for every 5% drawdown. Why? Because your emotional capacity shrinks under pressure, and when your nervous system is already taxed, throwing full risk at a volatile market is like sprinting with a broken leg. It's not brave, it's blind. Real example. Account, $50,000. Skill level 6, risk equals 0.5% equals 250. VIX today equals 28. High volatility, adjusted risk equals 125. That's it. Clean, controlled, conscious, and most importantly, sustainable. Now, I know what you're thinking, but I won't grow fast enough risking that little. But here's the question you're not asking. Will you still be trading in a year, or will you be starting over from your third blown account? Because risking too much doesn't speed up success, it speeds up failure. And the best traders in the world, they stay in the game long enough to get lucky, long enough to compound, long enough to refine their identity into someone who can scale with control. And they do it one correctly sized trade at a time. Let's revisit flow for a second. Flow doesn't happen when you feel nothing, and it doesn't happen when you feel overwhelmed. Flow happens at the edge of challenge and skill, right at that beautiful tension point where you're fully engaged but not consumed. That's what sizing is about. It's not just about math, it's about finding your emotional edge and protecting it like your career depends on it, because it does. Traders who use flow optimal sizing show 67% fewer impulse trades, 45% smaller drawdowns, 200% better recovery after losses, and the most important stat of all, longer trading careers. Because when you size for survival, you create the space for mastery. And when mastery meets opportunity, profit becomes inevitable. So here's the reflection for today. What size are you trading now? Is it aligned with your skill or your ego? How does it feel in your body, steady or shaky? Because if your size is compromising your state, you're already losing, even before the market opens. It's time to shift. Downsize to upgrade. Trade smaller to grow bigger. Protect your state, because that's the only capital you can't get back. Let me start with a harsh truth. Most traders obsess over the one metric that teaches them nothing: P&L. The flickering green and red numbers, the daily gain, the weekly drawdown, the net, the gross, the equity curve. But here's the problem. Profit is a lagging indicator. It's the result of decisions already made, actions already taken, mental states already lived through. It's like staring at the scoreboard after the game and thinking you can change the outcome. You can't, because P&L doesn't tell you why you won or why you lost. And it certainly doesn't tell you who you were when you placed the trade. The traders who grow, who evolve, who scale with composure and longevity, they track something entirely different: their process, their precision, their state. They don't ask, did I make money? They ask, did I execute my edge with clarity? Was I trading from flow or from fear? And they build a feedback loop that trains their brain to prioritize what actually leads to mastery. Let's get clear. Feedback is not just information, it's transformation, if you measure the right things. So what are those things? Let me show you the performance score system. the same structure used by elite traders coached by Dr. Brett Steenbarger. This isn't about journaling for journaling's sake. This is about reprogramming how you think, how you act, and who you become. Metric number 1, pre-trade state 1 to 10. Before your first trade of the day, stop. No charts, no heat maps, no setups. Just ask, what state am I in right now? Write down the first number that comes to mind. 7 to 10, full size, okay. 5 to 6, half size only. Below 5, no live trades. Paper trade. Observe. Learn. Why? Because most blown accounts start before the first click, when ego or emotion overrides awareness. This one metric could prevent 80% of catastrophic days. Metric number 2, flow percentage by hour. At the end of each trading hour, estimate what percentage of that hour was I in flow. Not perfection, honesty. Track for 30 days. Hour 1%, hour 2%, hour 3%, hour 4%. You'll see patterns. Maybe you flow best between 9:30 to 11 a.m. Maybe your attention collapses after 3 consecutive trades. Maybe you fall apart after a big win. This isn't a guess, it's your psychological blueprint. And once you know it, you can engineer your day around it. Metric number 3, flow break triggers. Every time you slip out of state, log what caused it. Examples: check Twitter after a win, took a trade out of boredom, chased a setup after a small loss. Why does this matter? Because pattern recognition isn't just for charts, it's for behavior. When you see the same flow breakers again and again, you stop calling them bad luck and start treating them as fixable errors. Metric number 4, performance score, 1 to 10. Forget P&L. For every trade, score yourself on entry timing. Was it based on your criteria, not emotion? Risk management. Was your stop predefined and honored? Trade management. Did you follow your plan mid-trade? Exit execution. Did you close at target, stop, or rule-based level? Each category, 1 to 10. Total out of 40. 32 to 40 equals excellent. 28 to 31 was solid. Below 28 needs work. Magic, trades with high scores even if they lose trades. Trades with low scores even if profitable are red flags. Why? Low score wins create false confidence, and false confidence leads to oversized losses. This metric teaches respect for process over outcome. Metric number 5, key lesson, 1 sentence. At the end of the day, write, what did I learn about my psychology today? Not the market, not the setup, not the news. You. Examples: I force trades when I'm under pressure. My state collapses after a streak of wins. I trade best after a workout and full sleep. Why? Because this journal becomes your personal operating manual. After 30 days, you won't just know the market's moves, you'll know how you move. Under pressure, under stress, under flow. What elite traders know: you don't grow by staring at charts, you grow by staring at the mirror. This feedback loop is the mirror. Once you commit, really commit, you'll notice something shift. You'll stop feeling like trading is guessing. You'll see cause and effect in your behavior, results, and evolution. You'll stop calling losses mistakes and start calling them data. Sample entry from a real trader. Date, March 15th, state 8 flow percent by hour, 8, 60%, 40, 20%. Flow breaks, big win trade number 2, check Twitter, lost focus. Performance scores, 38, 36, 24, 18. Lesson, flow degrades after big wins. I need recovery protocol after any 2R plus gain. That paragraph is worth more than a green day, because green days come and go. But self-awareness compounds. Your challenge, start your flow journal today. Track these 5 metrics. Commit for 30 days, no matter what. Because at the end of that month, you won't just have numbers, you'll have truth, patterns, triggers, insights, leverage over yourself. And that leverage, no market can take it away. If flow is the state where everything works, where trading feels sharp, calm, effortless, then it makes sense to ask, why don't we stay there? Why does it slip away so easily? Why do we start the day with focus, clarity, discipline, and end it staring at a screen, overtrading, frustrated, chasing our losses? The answer? You're not trading alone, even if you sit by yourself, even if you shut the door, even if your room is silent, because every trader is followed every single day by 3 demons. And these demons don't attack your strategy. They attack your state, quietly, slowly, fatally. Demon number 1, overtrading. The dopamine addiction. Let's start with the most seductive. It doesn't feel like a demon at first. It feels like momentum, like energy, like I'm in the zone, I'm killing it, I've got rhythm, until it isn't, until your winning trade leads to a second trade, then a third, then a sixth, then a 13th trade. And you're no longer trading a plan, you're trading to feel alive. Here's what the science says. Every trade, win or lose, releases dopamine. It's not the profit that hooks you, it's the action. And just like a gambler pulling the slot machine, your brain begins to crave that next trade, not for the outcome, but for the neurochemical hit. Dr. John Coates, former trader and neuroscientist, found that excessive trading rewires your brain. Your dopamine receptors adapt, and soon it takes more trades and more risk to feel the same satisfaction. It's not trading anymore, it's addiction with a chart in front of it. The cure. The 3-trade rule set a maximum 3 trades per day, period. Win, lose, or break even, when you hit 3, you're done. Why? Because this forces selectivity. It forces quality. It builds a new pattern in your brain. One trade well executed is enough. Tom Dante, brutally honest, deeply experienced, put it this way: my best days are 1 or 2 trades. My worst days are always 10 or more. The math is simple, the psychology isn't. Demon number 2, ego, the silent account killer. This one doesn't shout, it whispers. You're right, the market is wrong. It's going to turn around, just wait. You're not wrong, you're just early. Sound familiar? Ego convinces you that the trade is personal, that losing is unacceptable, that being wrong is a threat to your identity. It's what destroyed Brian Hunter at Amaranth. He didn't just trade natural gas, he fought it. The market became his enemy. His position became a symbol of pride, and that pride cost his firm $6 billion. Here's what ego does. After a win, it says, size up, you can't miss. After a loss, it says, get it back now. It doesn't care about edge, it cares about being right. And that need is death in this game. The antidote, morning humility practice. Start every trading day with this reminder: the market owes me nothing. I am a student, not a master. Today, I execute my process and accept whatever comes. Say it out loud. Feel the truth of it, because humility isn't weakness, it's the foundation of clarity. Mark Douglas discovered this after his own collapse. I had to learn how to trade without needing to be right. The market is always right. My job is to align, not to fight. Demon number 3, distraction, death by 1,000 cuts. This one doesn't show up all at once. It creeps in. A quick look at your phone, a scroll through Twitter, a ping on Discord, a YouTube tab open just for a minute. But the research is clear. Dr. Gloria Mark from UC Irvine found that it takes 23 minutes to fully refocus after a single distraction. In trading, that's a lifetime. That's a missed entry, a missed exit, a blown stop, a ruined streak. Your attention is your capital. Every time you check out, you make a withdrawal. And by the time you need deep focus for a key decision, your mental account is empty. The protection protocol. Phone in another room, not just on silent. Gone. One screen for trading only. No browsers, no messengers, no YouTube. Use site blockers, eliminate the temptation before it even appears. Create a trading shrine, a physical space used only for trading, nothing else. You wouldn't perform surgery in a noisy food court, so why are you managing thousands of dollars in an environment full of noise? Create silence, protect your focus, respect the sacredness of your process. Let's review. 3 demons, each invisible, each deadly, but now you know them. You've seen their face, and that gives you power, because awareness is the first step to immunity. And flow doesn't die from one big mistake. It dies from a series of tiny compromises, stacked quietly, until they collapse your state. Here's your challenge. Pick one demon, the one that haunts you most. Create one system to stop it, a rule, a ritual, a reminder. Commit to it for 7 days, because you don't defeat demons with willpower. You defeat them with systems. Flow is not a gift. It's something you protect, moment by moment, trade by trade, and now you're no longer unarmed. Let's talk about a paradox, one that breaks most traders and builds the ones who last. Because every instinct you have, every emotion you carry, every lesson the world taught you about success tells you this: control everything, control the trade, control the outcome, control the pain, control the profit. But in trading, the more you try to control the market, the more it controls you. That's the paradox. The moment you clench your fists around an outcome, you lose the clarity needed to get there. You grip the mouse tighter, you stare at every tick. You beg, bargain, and fight the chart like it owes you something, but the market doesn't fight back. It doesn't care. It just is unpredictable, indifferent, unapologetic. And the traders who survive, the ones who thrive, aren't the ones who conquer it. They're the ones who flow around it. Think of water. It doesn't argue with rocks, it doesn't force direction, it adapts, it flows, it responds. Bruce Lee understood this. Be like water. He wasn't talking about weakness, he was talking about power without tension. That's how master traders operate. They don't push the ocean. They let go of the illusion of control, and in doing so, gain true control over the only thing that matters, themselves. Dr. Brett Steenbarger's research into top hedge fund traders revealed something stunning. The most consistently profitable traders, the ones who manage billions with calm precision, have one psychological trait in common. They've surrendered the need to be right. They don't fight the market, they listen to it, adapt to it, align with it. They read what is, not what should be, and that shift changes everything. So how do you trade from surrender? Let's break it down. Here are the 4 pillars of profitable surrender. 1. Accept your stop loss completely. Before you click buy, ask yourself, am I fully at peace with losing this trade? Not just conceptually, emotionally. If the stop hits, will I react with panic, anger, ego, or will I breathe and move on? If the answer is anything but peace, you're not ready to place that trade. As trader Tom Dante says, I pre-grieve every loss before I take the trade. That way I'm free, free to execute, free to let go. That's not drama. That's discipline at the deepest level. 2. Let market structure determine targets, not your P&L goal, not your rent, not your feelings. Let price action, not emotion, decide how far the trade runs. Because when you start needing the market to pay you a certain amount, you've already given away your power. You're not trading a chart anymore. You're negotiating with your expectations, and the market doesn't negotiate. 3. Release the trade once entered. You've done your analysis. You've planned your stop, your entry, your target. Now, let go. Watching every tick won't help it grow. Hovering won't change the outcome. It's like planting a seed, then digging it up every 5 minutes to check if it's sprouting. Trust the plan. If it hits your stop, good work. The process protected you. If it hits your target, great, the process performed. But either way, you trade from peace, not pressure. 4. Respond identically to wins and losses. Sounds impossible, right? But the pros, they don't spike on wins and they don't spiral on losses. They say one thing no matter what the result, thank you for the lesson. If it's a winner, I executed well, let's do it again. If it's a loser, that setup didn't work, but I followed the plan, because both teach you something. One reinforces clarity, the other exposes weakness. Both are useful if ego is absent. And here's the key. This is not passive trading. Surrender doesn't mean sitting back, hoping for the best. It doesn't mean becoming indifferent. You still analyze, you still plan, you still execute with intensity, but you do it from a place of detachment, not desperation. You trade like a professional chess player, not like a gambler at a slot machine. Here's your daily practice. Simple, grounding, powerful. Right before your first trade, place your hand on your heart and say, I control my entry, my stop, and my size. Everything else, I release. Feel your shoulders drop. Feel your mind clear. That's not weakness. That's freedom. Because the trader who needs the trade to work is already compromised. The trader who's fine either way, who shows up, executes, and releases. That's the trader who stays in flow. That's the trader who lasts. Let's finish with this. You will never master the market, but you can master yourself within the market. And that mastery begins with one shift. The most powerful, most counterintuitive shift of all, let go. Let go of needing to be right. Let go of needing to win. Let go of needing the market to cooperate. Trade from clarity, trade from process, trade from surrender, because the moment you stop grasping, you start growing. By now, we've said it again and again. Flow is not luck. Flow is not magic. Flow is a state, and states can be engineered. But here's the truth. Most traders show up to the market unprepared. Not technically, psychologically. They wake up late, they scroll social media, they slam coffee, they rush into their charts with yesterday's emotions still pulsing through their system. And then they wonder, why can't I focus? Why does everything feel off today? Why am I trading setups I swore I'd avoid? The answer? You didn't prime the machine. You didn't activate your internal system. your mind, your body, your nervous state to meet the challenge ahead. In peak performance psychology, there's a concept called state priming, used by Olympic athletes, used by elite soldiers, used by surgeons, CEOs, even concert pianists. And it's simple. The way you enter the arena shapes the way you perform in it. And for a trader, the arena is you versus yourself, under pressure, uncertainty, and time sensitivity. You don't need a magic indicator, you need a ritual. So here it is, the morning flow activation, a 5-step ritual, 16 minutes total, to enter the market fully centered, fully focused, fully in flow. Let's break it down. Step 1, nervous system reset, 3 minutes. We start not with charts, not with screens, but with your body. Why? Because trading is not just mental, it's neurological. If your nervous system is spiked from stress, lack of sleep, anxiety, your brain is already in fight or flight before you even open your platform. You cannot trade from flow if your system is on fire. Do this. Sit in silence. Close your eyes. Breathe in for 4 seconds. Hold for 4 seconds. Exhale for 6 seconds. Repeat for 3 minutes. Why it works. This activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the calm, focused, decision-making part of your brain. You're no longer reacting to the world. You're now present in it. Step 2, state check intention set, 2 minutes. Now ask, what's my internal state right now? Don't guess. Write it down. Calm, anxious, impatient, focused. This builds awareness. Then set your intention. Today, I will trade only what I planned. Today, I value execution over profit. Today, I protect my state more than my P&L. Speak it aloud. Why? Because the mind follows the voice it hears most, your own. Step 3, visualize execution. Close your eyes again. Now see it. You opening the platform calmly. You seeing a setup, waiting. You entering the trade with control. You hitting your stop, breathing. You hitting your target, exhaling, moving on. This is not fantasy. It's mental rehearsal used by athletes, pilots, warriors. The brain doesn't distinguish between real and vividly imagined. You're wiring your system to act with composure before the first trade even happens. Step 4, review your process plan, 4 minutes. Now, open your trading journal or system checklist. What are your 3 A-plus setups? What are your entry criteria? What's your max risk per trade? What's your max loss for the day? Read it out loud, slowly. Why? Because repetition locks in memory, and memory becomes automatic response under pressure. You're building the muscle of discipline before temptation appears. Step 5, pre-commitment statement, 3 minutes. Finally this, write the following by hand every morning. I trade only A-plus setups. I accept every loss with calm. I never violate my stop. My worth is not my P&L. I am here to execute, not to prove. Then sign it with your actual name. Yes, like a contract, because this isn't a game. This is your capital, your psychology, your legacy in the making. Why does this ritual work? Because it does 3 things at once. Calms your body, aligns your intention, prepares your brain for pattern recognition, self-control. It flips the switch from reactive trader to responsive operator, from emotional to embodied, from hoping to knowing who you are and how you trade. Let's compare. Trader A rolls out of bed, checks Discord, gets triggered by someone else's trade, jumps into a setup they didn't plan, then blames the market. Trader B resets their system, sets their intention, rehearses discipline, and enters with full awareness of what they will and will not do. Both face the same charts, but only one is trading from flow. And that difference, it doesn't show up in one day. It shows up in a career. So here's your challenge. For the next 5 days, run this ritual. Just 16 minutes, no shortcuts, no skipping steps. And at the end of each day, ask, was I more centered today? Did I pause before reacting? Did I trade like the person I want to become? Because the market isn't testing your strategy, it's testing your state. And your morning ritual, that's your weapon. You've learned the strategies, you've studied the charts, you've mastered your tools, your rules, your risk, and still something is missing, because deep down, every serious trader eventually runs into the same question, the one that haunts us between sessions. If I know what to do, why don't I do it? It's not about edge. It's not about the market. It's not about the news, the algos, or the institutions. It's about you. Because in trading, the final edge is not technical. It's personal. Not the person who shows up when things go well, but the version of you who shows up when everything falls apart. When you lose 3 trades in a row, when you're in drawdown and self-doubt, when your plan is screaming, wait, but your emotions are yelling, now. That's when the real trader is revealed. And not the trader on Instagram, not the version in the back test, but the one who lives in the pressure, the one who can pause in chaos, the one who responds, not reacts. Here's the truth. Trading is not about becoming rich. It's about becoming someone who can be trusted with risk. That's the game. And very few are willing to play it at this level because it requires more than charts and setups. It requires inner work, and that's uncomfortable. It means facing the parts of yourself that sabotage. It means rewriting stories you've carried your whole life. Stories like, I'm only worthy when I win. Mistakes define me. Success must come quickly, or I'm a failure. You don't just need better trades. You need a better relationship with yourself. Let me ask you a question that has nothing to do with candles or indicators. Who do you become when things go wrong? Do you contract or expand? Do you lash out or reflect? Do you chase or pause? The market doesn't care, but your equity curve does. Because every trade isn't just a position, it's a reflection of your discipline, of your patience, of your belief systems, of your identity. And that's the final shift, the one no one talks about in beginner books, the one no indicator can measure. It's this: you don't trade the market, you trade your identity into existence. Every session is a vote, a declaration. You're not here to get rich. You're here to become the kind of person who could handle wealth if it showed up. That's the game. Let's be real. Anyone can follow rules when it's easy, but mastery is born in resistance. When your old habits scream to take over, when your emotions beg you to deviate, when your ego says just one more trade, we'll get it back, and you say, no, I've evolved. That moment, that's not discipline. That's identity alignment, and it changes you permanently. So who are you becoming? Forget P&L for a second. Forget the account size. Forget how this week went. Ask, what kind of trader do I want to be when no one's watching? What does it look like to operate with integrity and silence? What version of me would I trust with a seven-figure account? Not someday, now, because trading doesn't care what you want. It only responds to what you are. So here's the final practice. Not a checklist, not a hack, not a tactic. A simple, powerful identity ritual to close your day and shape your evolution. Each night before bed, ask yourself, the trader's three. Where did I act in alignment today? Even if I lost, did I show up how I said I would? Where did I break trust with myself? Not to judge to see. Awareness is power. What micro adjustment will I bring into tomorrow? Tiny hinges swing big doors. Write it down, reflect, repeat, because identity is not a goal, it's a pattern, built in quiet moments, stacked daily, lived fully. You are not here to chase the market. You are here to master yourself inside it, because the market, it's just a mirror. It reflects back who you are under pressure. But once you begin to lead yourself calmly, consistently, clearly, the market follows. So if you've reached this point, if you've made it through all 11 chapters, if something inside you has shifted, then maybe you already feel it. This is no longer about a trading system, it's about becoming the system. Calm, focused, patient, relentless, a living, breathing embodiment of clarity under chaos. You're not chasing edge anymore, you are the edge. If this series changed the way you see yourself, if it gave you tools to trade from peace, not pressure, if you're ready to become the trader you were meant to be, then don't stop here. Share this with someone who's struggling silently. Rewatch the chapters when you drift. And if you're serious about the long game, subscribe, because we're just getting started.